And today, analysts are summing up the results of the past week. And as a result, we see that Ukraine has lost 28 square kilometers, and that's just in 1 week. Unfortunately, the lack of support seriously affects the situation on the front line. But today, finally, the activity of the occupiers along the front line has slightly decreased. And let's start with the Kupiansk direction. Here, the occupiers continue minimal shelling activity and are not conducting new attacks. Troop regrouping and mobilization of new reserves are ongoing. And analysts also report that the advance towards Kupiansk has been halted because their reconnaissance and sabotage corps conducted offensive actions on Russian territory. And it was necessary to withdraw some reserves from the Kupiansk direction to defend the Belgorod region. However, it's reported that there are still up to 5 motorized rifle regiments and a large number of tanks in the Kupiansk direction as before. Therefore, the possibility of activation still remains. In the Svatovo area, as before, there is minimal shelling. In the Kreminna direction, the occupiers also continue shelling, but no new offensive actions are reported, and the situation along the front line remains unchanged. In the Siversk direction, the occupiers are attacking Bilohorivka and Verkhnyokamensky. Finally, attacks near Spirne and Rozdorivka have ceased, and the front line remains unchanged over the day. In the Chasiv Yar direction, the occupiers have slightly reduced their activity, so attacks are recorded on the Novy microdistrict and on Chasiv Yar itself from the south. Attacks on Klishchiivka also continue, but despite the very challenging situation, the Ukrainian forces continue to hold the defense, and there have been no changes along the front line in the past day. So the Ukrainian forces also refute all claims by the Russians about the capture of Ivanivsk.
Ivanivsk was not completely captured, no fire is being seen. At this time, positions change from hand to hand, every minute everything changes. The position ticks are still under control. Unfortunately, there are 200 of our brothers.
As evident, the struggle for every position continues, despite all the advantages of the Russians. So today, there are also reports of offensive actions on the settlement of New York. However, it seems there was only the one trial attack, and the Russians achieved no success there. In the Avdiivka direction, the occupiers conducted 6 attacks in the areas of Novobakhmutivka, Novokalinovo, Pervomaiske, and Netailova. Shelling continues both along the front line and in the rear, but there have been no new advancements in the past day. In the direction of Mariinka, the occupiers have resumed attacks on Krasnohorivka, and fighting continues for Novomykhailivka. Despite the challenging situation in the village, the Ukrainian forces, as before, stand their ground, albeit under constant fire and attacks from the Russians. So the front line remains unchanged here over the past day. In the Vuhlidar direction, the occupiers are attempting, as before, to storm Staromayorsk. 2 attacks were conducted in the past day, both of which were unsuccessful, and the life of confrontation remains unchanged. Shelling continues as usual. In the Zaporizhia direction, the occupiers conducted 2 attacks on Robotyne, and shelling continues in all nearby settlements. However, the Ukrainian forces are using FPV drones to try to intercept the occupiers during their movement towards the village. Therefore, the situation remains under control, although it's far from easy. So the Ukrainian forces are constantly under artillery and mortar fire. Additionally, the General Staff has made a statement regarding a provocation at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant.
According to available intelligence data, Russian terrorists are preparing to carry out another provocation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, another operation under a false flag. Russia is the only terrorist in the world that holds a nuclear power plant hostage and uses it to blackmail Ukraine and the whole world. No one else, except Russian terrorists, has brought the world so close to the brink of a deliberate radiation disaster.
In the Kherson direction, the occupiers conducted one attack on the village of Krinky, and shelling continues along the front line. Russian war correspondents are already reporting that the attacks are carried out merely for the sake of reporting them, as the losses are overwhelming and no one wants to die anymore.
According to the situation as of the evening of April 14, 24 in the area of responsibility of the Dnepr GV, there are no changes in the Kherson direction. Today, our forces from groups from 328 airborne infantry regiments continue to clean up the settlement. Krinky. The attacks were, as they say, for show, for the sake of the report. In the Zaporizhzhia direction. Today our settlement's Rabotino was not stormed. Otherwise, everything is unchanged in the Dnepr GV. Preparations are underway for future action.
Also, Zelensky commented on the latest shelling of Ukrainian territory.
Those who have lost their loved ones. Russia uses every day, week, and month to inflict significant damage. Unfortunately, assistance to Ukraine is still limited, and the Russian state still has access to critical components needed to produce missiles and drones. Each missile targeting Ukraine contains at least dozens of components, electronics, chips supplied by companies from other countries and imported through the territory of Russia's neighbors. The Shah drones also contain components produced in the free world. All of this must and can be stopped. The connivance at terror, the ability of terrorists to seek accomplices around the world, and all forms of Russian terror itself. Modern aviation proves its effectiveness. Modern air defense systems are capable of protecting lives. This was demonstrated in the Middle East, when aviation and air defense shot down Iranian missiles and Shade drones aimed at Israel.
As it seems, Russia manages to circumvent sanctions, while Ukraine not only fails to increase support for victory, but on the contrary, it decreases. Meanwhile, former Trump National Security Advisor Bolton has urged Israel to strike Iran's nuclear facilities.
Almost certainly at this point, none of those missiles contained a nuclear warhead. But you never can tell when the next firing, the next salvo of ballistic missiles might contain a nuclear warhead. So I think among the many targets Israel should consider, this is the opportunity to destroy Iran's nuclear weapons program. And I hope President Biden is not trying to dissuade Prime Minister Netanyahu from doing that. And if he succeeds, and if at some future point the Ayatollahs are able to pull off what former Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon called a nuclear holocaust, history will know who to blame.
In the meantime, Olaf Scholz has arrived in China for a meeting with their leader.
Scholz arrived in China for a 3-day visit to meet with Xi Jinping. This is Scholz's second visit to China as Chancellor and the first visit to China by a high-ranking politician from a major Western power this year. A business delegation including heads of a number of international corporations, such as Siemens, BMW and Mercedes-Benz, also arrived. Xi Jinping, as well as Prime Minister Li Qiang, will meet with Scholz to discuss Sino-German ties and issues of mutual interest, the Chinese Foreign Ministry said.
What could be their connections if China supports Russia in everything, helps them wage war, and Scholz comes to them as if to France? So today, Russians even buy Chinese motorcycles to retreat from positions more quickly.
The guys are working in an open area. After hunting the enemy, there is only a couple of minutes to leave the place. The enemy sends swarms of drones in response. It is very difficult for fully equipped fighters to quickly leave a position across the sands. The last time could be the last for the reconnaissance group. The guys buy at their own expense all the stuff for the targeted destruction of the enemy in saving their lives. You need an enduro motorcycle for survival, a set of off-road tires for a loaf and components for FPV drones. P.S. If anyone has the desire and opportunity to buy or donate their enduro, then we will help with this procedure. We'll take it, hand it over personally and report back.
And that's all for me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.
Hey yo! I was waiting for her to finish. Felt bad stopping her video earlier. Okay, here I am. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Yeah, I wasn't live for a while. It was a mix of having guests and then having burnout? I don't know. I was messed up. I still am, kinda. But I'm hoping to do the streams regularly until my vacation, and then we'll see. So, good luck with that. And clicking. I clicked for you, look. I subscribed and I liked. I did both. You're welcome. You're welcome, alright? I did everything you have to do. I think I helped. That's cool. Life, I think, my vacation is coming near, right? Like I'm supposed to have a vacation in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And I think I'm in that space where I am staying mentally stable only and solely because I know my vacation is approaching, right? So I'm trying really hard to like hold on, but it's been, usually you get bouts of burnout when you're doing retail. I feel like I'm getting them a bit more than usual. So yeah, a gungus. Did you Google that? Did you Google that, gorgeous? You Googled that. Yeah, I wasn't here in 2 weeks. How long? My father was here for a week, so I was not streaming for a week at least. Something like that. There's a date somewhere. Twitch probably says it. Oh, before Easter. Before Easter. When was Easter? I don't know when Easter was, but I think we did the last stream before Easter. Kitchen? No. I paid for the finishing part yesterday. And now we're waiting, cause yesterday I got my paycheck, so then yesterday I paid online for the finishing part, and now they have to be cutting the finishing part, and then I have to figure out a way to deliver the part to the village, cause we don't, the store doesn't offer delivery, so that's gonna be interesting, and the parts will not fit inside the car. Yeah, it's kind of a problem I'm planning to deal with when they're done cutting the part, and when I know it's done. I don't really know. I'm gonna get a bus. And just put it in the middle of the fucking bus like some loser. I've got no idea. No, we did not repel the invasion. But it's chill for now. Also, listen, I lied. I said it's chill. It's going to be chill for few days more, specifically one, because tomorrow is voting in Croatia. We're having elections tomorrow. And it so happens that my invasion has very interesting views on a lot of topics you might consider politically divisive, problematic. Let's say if they used Twitter, they would be very close or fitting perfectly with Elon Musk's circle. Wouldn't be fitting perfectly because they are against electric cars. They are against electric cars because they are against helping the environment. Like, unironically, they're against it. It's like, you know those Americans who purposefully drive around in huge cars and pollute the environment as much as possible to own the libs? That's my invasion. That's my invasion. Whenever something is proposed in a way that helps the environment, that's seen as a personal insult, like an attack on them personally. DP, so far, what I know is that they are absolutely horrendous on the topic of women's rights. We could look at Factograph actually. I think Factograph was posting a lot about this. Comparing different politicians and then different responses that they have given to different topics. I was... Ooh, population replacement. Who brought up the population replacement? But yeah, I'm quite against Domovinski Pokret. I'm quite against them. Personally, I think there's 3 options in the current Croatian elections that are inexcusable. There's 3 options that if you vote for them, I think that we cannot be... We are not on equal ground. You know what I mean? These 3 options are Domovinski Pokret, Most, and SDP. Current SDP, I believe, is incredibly dangerous. I believe their failure to move away from their former member, who is currently the president of Croatia, their failure to separate from him is really dangerous. Man is a pure populist. Man is no better than Orban, no better than Trump. I think voting for SDP is inexcusable these elections, and it really discourages me to see people trying to be in the opposition and then planning to vote for them. That's a straight path into fucking your country up. That's basically Russia back when they voted for Putin because he was the pro-democracy person. That's what you're doing if you vote for SDP. It is ridiculous to me that they're getting so much support. I do understand that they did the... What's the word? How they say it's very corrupt, so we are not going to be very corrupt thing. You know, I understand where all of this love is coming from. I'm just really, really concerned about the president. Who the fuck is Depe here? There's like way too many of them. I didn't even try. Josic? Alright, Josic. Croatia is a Catholic state. Oh, alright, so that's what they're fact-checking. He said that Croatia is a Catholic state, but technically we are a secular state. We just have a lot of Catholics there. He claims we have 90 to 95% Catholics, but actually it's 78.97%. Fair. I would expect someone like that to be bringing up the religion, though. I don't want to see that. Oh, here it is. Josic, so the Domovinski Pokret person, believes in the population replacement. He believes population replacement. He's saying population replacement is happening daily. In 20 to 30 years, we will not have any Croats inside Croatia. We're going to be, I don't even know what we're going to be by then. So, yeah, overall, I've never really had a good opinion of that party, but I do believe they were relatively... It was excusable to vote for them back when they had Skorojen. And he wasn't even that good of a person in politics. He was just like one of those relatively harmless populists, I believe. Like you knew he was never going to get that radical. He was always going to be soft. It's like with his songs, you know how he's like the pussy version of Thompson? I think that in politics he was always going to be a pussy version of something actually radical. So he wasn't a danger by himself. But right now, Domainski Pocket, I genuinely believe, like, is definitely a danger, and yeah, I think it's horrible to vote for them. SDP is bad, but SD is not one of the 3 bad ones. Wait, SD. Fuck, I have to figure out which ones we have around. There's way too many of them, idiot. There's way too many of them. I ain't even seen them. 2 minutes dogpiling on Plenkovic because of the Nepalese migrants. Oh shit. Oh crap. Not great. Just goddamn great. It's bullshit because it's also so easy. Oh, look at these. Really? What happened? Where are my mans? Ah, they broke away from SDP. Where are my mans though? Rivers of Justice. Okay, Peasant Party joined the Rivers of Justice. This is SDP. Now, we still have these fuckers around. Let me put Croatian. Let me put it to Croatian. I feel they're like useless to exist, to be completely honest. It's like they moved away from SDP, but they're doing basically the same shit as SDP. It's useless to exist. This is a waste of time. Why? Why are you around? Like, oh, we're gonna break away from the big party and then we're going to create our own smaller party. Why didn't you just join Możemo? They could have just joined Możemo. They could have just been members of like a proper party existing. This is just... It's like vote stealing. There's like a YouTube thing with them. The?
Domovinski pokret ne okreće glavu od naših ljudi u Bosni i Hercegovini. Mi se ne sramimo slavne nacionalne povijesti i hrvatskih velikana, naših zastava i insignija, junaštva naših vitezova i kolosalnih uspjeha vrhunskih hrvatskih sportaša. Naši članovi i brojni simpatizeri, naša vjerna domovinska Hrvatska zbog toga iz sve glasa kliče i zove nazad stare i mlade iseljenike. Vratite se domu svom, jer tu, pod najljepšim i jedinim komadićem neba na zemlji koju nam je dao dragi Bog, baš tu stanuje sreća i tu živi naš hrvatski narod. Živjet će tu i naša djeca, unuci naši i neće nestati Hrvatska, dok nam živo srce bije.
Cringe as fuck. But also, I love how here they're like, oh yeah, we're proud of our history. Look at our flaggies. We're proud of our history, and then we're also proud of the successes of Croatian football players. They're equating being proud of Ustaše to being proud of like our footballers getting successes. I guess it gets like nationalist jerk enough. I guess that's the point. I don't know what else it would be. But yeah, inexcusable voting option, definitely an inexcusable one. So you're fucked? Yeah. Možemo is doing alright, and is the party that I think currently has the most chance to be in the government, and also the party that is the most normal. It's like, I think Možemo and it's HDZ. Unironically HDZ at this point. I don't really think we have, and I'm still thinking, I still don't know who I'm gonna be voting for. There's a big chance I'm gonna vote for the corrupt ones only and solely, so we don't give more power to the whatever the hell these clowns are.
Od vas se skriva da je Andrej Plenković samo u prošloj godini u Hrvatsku protuzakonito pustio mimo graničnih prijelaza 68.500 takozvanih migranata. Riječ je o 99% muškoj populaciji koja...
Let me walk you through this. Let me walk you through this.
Od vas se skriva da je Andrej Plenković samo u prošloj godini u Hrvatsku
They're saying it's they are hiding this fact from you that Andrej Plenković, the current Prime Minister of Croatia, only last year, just in last year, he has allowed 68,500 so-called migrants, they say. So-called migrants. He allowed them to come into Croatia. So-called migrants. I do wonder where they're going with that, like, so-called?
68.500 takozvanih migranata. Riječ je o 99% muškoj populaciji koja čini ilegalne migrante.
He's saying we're talking about 99% male population that constitutes these illegal immigrant groups.
Bez obitelji, bez žena, bez djece.
No families, no wives, no children.
Vanjsku granicu Europske unije podrazumijeva štititi grčku granicu, to podrazumijeva štititi bugarsku granicu. Dakle, ojačati granicu Grčka-Turska, Bugarska-Turska.
This is just them being like, oh yeah, we gotta protect the borders. We gotta be protecting the borders. We gotta be securing the borders. And now he's talking about different borders of European Union, how many of them need to be protected in order for our border to be controlled too.
Naravno i ovu granicu Grčka-Makedonija.
Yeah, also Greece, Macedonia needs to be protected. He mentioned Bulgaria previously.
Hrvatske je da ne gradimo ni ograde ni žice ni granice.
Hrvatska policija ne štiti hrvatske granice i ne zaustavlja one koji pokušavaju mimo graničnih prijelaza ući u Republiku Hrvatsku.
Now they're saying that Croatian police, like he's talking so much about protecting other countries' borders, but he's not talking enough about protecting the Croatian border. And they're saying that Croatian police does not protect Croatian borders and doesn't stop people who try to pass the border against the rules. Yeah, they fact check themselves to be true. Fun fact about this too, that I'm not really sure lots of people know. I'm saying I'm not sure lots of people know, but I was really into right-wing circles recently in Croatian spaces, and I think that's why I get to the idea. Croatia, we have two different ways of looking at crime. I don't know the English for this, holy shit. But basically, if you cross the border illegally, it's like, it's less of a crime. Like, you're not going to be sent to jail over that. You might get a fine or something. You're not going to get sent to jail over that shit. But they keep on talking about this as if it's a crime that people from other countries would be sent to jail for, as if we are given unfair treatment and benefit to these migrants, specifically from Nepal, because they're not being arrested immediately and sent to jail. Administrative versus criminal. Hey, could be that. Yeah, could be that. Oh, nice. I've never known, like, if that's the English term. That's new to me. Nice, thank you. But they keep on pretending as if we are allowing Nepalese immigrants to cross the border, casually, and we're not arresting them and putting them in jail for it, when the same thing would happen if a member of any other nation crossed our borders. Like, you don't end up in jail. That's not what happens. You don't end up in jail if you cross our borders illegally. That's not really what would happen. It's simply not like that in the law. It's military-age men trying to immigrate. Another way they try to fearmonger and paint it like an invasion. Oh! Why should we help Ukraine with their invasion when we are invaded by military-age males every day? Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh, that would be interesting. Oh, mama. My brother's coming, by the way. My brother's coming to Croatia relatively soon. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. It would be an incredible argument for him to use because he is a military-age man that crossed the border first and then got his girlfriend to cross on like way later when he had an established job and a place to stay so she could cross over, right? Like she wasn't immediately coming with him. First he found a job and he found a place to be in, and that's when she had the ability to cross too. That would be fucking incredible. No one thinks about the common people. First they fill their pockets and they start thinking about the people. I think there's been interesting paths that all of them have chosen to take when it comes to what they are willing to fight for after this election is done. But yeah, I do think overall you're correct. I do think that some amount of corruption is going to be on the forefront for all parties, and then all of them will be creating some changes. But also, to be fair, I also believe that a lot of these changes, especially good ones, are going to be the result of European Union and not the result of our politicians. I believe whoever we choose to be the party in power is going to come second when it comes to helping the normal people. It's going to come second to European Union pushing us into a certain direction, which is good, by the way. I say this fully positively. European Union has been incredible for Croatia. I know that Osijek and Vukovar specifically have benefited so much in so many sectors when it comes to European Union, not just funds, but also regulations pushed. Like we're currently having the new huge hospital built in Osijek. That shit would not happen if we relied only and solely on Croatia and Croatian government to improve our lives, right? Like, you know it fucking wouldn't. By the way, I was in Serbia recently. People got fucking, is it a roundabout in English? That's new for Serbia. Okay, brothers over the river found civilization. You know what I saw? Freshly made bicycle tracks next to the road. Serbia never had that shit. This is European Union. That's European Union working in Serbia. Never had that shit. I was driving over and I was like, bro, the fuck is this bicycle track? They're getting bike tracks. Yeah, no. You would not see that shit in Serbia if they were not trying to cozy up to European Union. I stand behind that fully. Representative democracy sucks. Direct democracy is in the way. The way I see it, though, I think representative democracy is evolution of direct democracy. Direct democracy is what works when you still have smaller populations. But even then, if you read about the way that ancient Greeks had direct democracy, for example, what you had is that they had people who were taught how to speak from a very young time, and these people were the ones who slowly got more and more speaking time in the during the voting processes and everything. Like, it wasn't everyone speaking their mind. It wasn't like, I don't know, what's the perfect number? What was Plato's number for like the perfect size of a city so you can properly have democracy and you can properly organize it? It's not like every single man from this city would be going and speaking their mind and voting at the same time. You had people who were specifically sticking out because they were educated in a way to make them stick out and to be able to speak their mind better. Basically, what you're going to see is direct democracy evolves into representative democracy. Representative democracy is a way to make the system more efficient, especially for something on a larger scale, like you have entire countries right now, okay? Like you would not be able to have direct democracy on the size of a country. And at the same time, I have a thing with direct democracy lovers. I'm noticing that a lot of them don't know how easy it is to get into politics. I think it's one of those things. If you remember, we had a person here in chat who was like, how was it that politicians are basically a different group from everyone else in the country? Like they didn't even consider them citizens in an equal way, because they were like, politicians are so far removed from a common person that, you know, they can't possibly be holding the same opinions. And while on some scale I do agree about some politicians, I think that the difference is basically the same difference you would get from like a richer layer of society versus us minimum wage folks. You know what I mean? It's the same difference. Someone who's very rich, someone who's earning 4-digit paychecks, they ain't on your level. They're different from you. They're removed from your experience. This is completely like normal, expected. You wouldn't consider them not citizens. In the same way, I do think you can't really consider politicians non-citizens, but I do think that there's this way to remove politicians from the population, and it's mostly used by very cheap opposition parties. So be careful about that. Very, very cheap opposition parties. I don't know if you remember Živi Zid, by the way, from Croatia, who were the masters of doing this. Živi Zid, and they had Ivan Vilibor Sinčić. Now they're called Ključ Hrvatske. They were called Živi Zid, and Živi Zid for a very, very long time was a party that was fighting against people getting kicked out from their apartments or, you know, buildings once they couldn't be paying anymore. Živi Zid right now, this man and his wife, they got an apartment from which a woman was kicked out previously for not being able to pay for it. They're just not morally opposed to it anymore. That's what's going on right now. And it's because while they were in opposition, they had these little ideas of, you know, how do we get the most votes? How do we get people to support us? How do we get into the higher layers of politics? So we were actually able to do some corruption. And now that they're able to do some corruption, now they're doing it. And now they don't really care about the path they have taken to get to this position. You're going to see this with every single political party, but I still think it's really sad how much, while they are at the lower levels of politics, how much they're able to destroy countries' trust in the political system. That's what like really, really worries me, how much damage they do before they go and become corrupt. Especially with modern tech, we can implement it easily. You mean like online voting, which is what we are doing already. Like I'm not really sure what sort of an improvement to the system you would need, really. Am I not allowed to make my voice heard? I mean, you are. You can just join a political party rather easily. We had, oh my man, we had a, fuck, what's the word? Research? Investigation recently. One of our investigative journalists tried to get into different political parties inside Croatia to see how easy it is to get into them. Man, for some of them you just sign up. You just sign up over email. They get you in. You just sign up over fucking email and you can start working in your local branch. They don't do background checks and shit. For some of them, you have to pay a small amount to get like your badges and shit like that. For some of them, they actually do an interview. It depends on which party it is, right? But it's very easy for you to be directly involved in your local politics. It's very, very easy. It's incredibly simple of a process. I just think a lot of people aren't really willing to do it. That's been my experience so far. I think people are just too lazy to do it. So then it's easier to be like, politicians don't really listen to us. And then you're like, oh, but you can go and speak to these politicians. But then I have to go and speak to them. Ew. Like, just do it. Just put in some effort. We had a great man here. He was a great man previously. Then he moved to Germany and became interesting. But while he was in the village, you know what he was doing? He had his own group of politicians. And what he was doing is he had a room in the community building in this village. And in this room, he was working, I believe it was from 10 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. It was something like that. So like if you work both shifts, you can go there, you can make time to go there. And he would be just basically explaining to you whatever the fuck you want explained. That was great. You know how great it was? Like people would go there if there was a change in the pension system, for example, because we have a lot of old people here. So they wouldn't really understand what they saw on the news very often. So they would go there and then he would explain it. That was great. That was great. I feel like we should employ someone to do that. We should have people employed and paid to just be sitting in a room in every single village and just answering people's questions, because so many things were just explained so easily just by him being there. And it wasn't even just that, it was also them like demanding certain work to be done or something, or like if the funds were being used for a specific thing in the village, he was explaining why this was the way that the priorities were set up. So, for example, if a road was being fixed in one part of the village and people would go, why isn't my road being fixed? He would explain to you why your road isn't being fixed. I thought that was great. I think it's great for democracy, and I also think it's great for political systems overall. I think it was an amazing thing. Straight up elitist? The people are retarded. I'd rather have the politicians just lobby by think tanks to implement the interest of oligarchic corporates. So like USA basically, isn't it? Is it? Yeah, it's USA where they say lobbying. We would usually call that corruption, but they say lobbying, so like it's legal. Tempting to think direct democracy would be better since Trump would never have won, since he lost by 3 million votes to Hillary. Oh, I do think that also depends on how you define direct democracy, right? Because by the virtue of them existing as chosen political representatives, Trump and Hillary both were results of representative democracy. Because like you have political parties who choose their own candidates to be going to the election, feel that inherently, like these are the people that are going to be making decisions. Not all choices are going to be dealt with on a referendum basis, but it's going to be Trump having powers to choose something just himself, or Hillary choosing something just by herself. That's like representative democracy inherently. But yeah, the system of voting could be changed. Proportional popular democracy. Man, there's way too many terms for this shit. But yeah, you wouldn't have someone like Trump or Hillary in a direct one, right? You wouldn't be able to. The way I understand it, it's like, yeah, think of referendums. Think of something like that. You imagine if every single decision your country makes was dealt with on a referendum basis. So every single decision your country is making is dealt with asking everyone in the country to make a decision together. That's like the closest you could get to a proper direct democracy on such a large scale. Yeah, so it would be it's an interesting way to think of a system, but also it would be really fucking expensive, and right now we're dealing with it basically just by electing people to represent their share of the population, which is like a quicker way to do it.
Fabrice Leggeri, koji je bio direktor Frontexa, Europske granične policije od 2015. do 2022. godine, u veljači 2024. godine izjavio je: za sadašnje vodstvo EU, ilegalni migranti nisu problem, nego projekt.
It's just people going like, oh yeah, for the current European Union leadership, migrants are a project, not a problem. That's what's going on.
Ulazak ilegalnih migranata planska je migrantska invazija na cijelu EU, čega je Hrvatska dio, s jasnim i kobnim, trajnim posljedicama, izmjenom stanovništva i dokidanjem nacionalnih država.
Oh!
Planska je migrantska invazija na cijelu EU, čega je Hrvatska dio, s jasnim i kobnim, trajnim posljedicama.
He's saying that there is an invasion of migrants. Sorry, there's an invasion of migrants happening against the entirety of European Union and Croatia as a part of it, and it has clear and permanent consequences. He's saying that there is happening a population replacement, and also that nation states are being negated.
Svjedočanstvo direktora Frontexa jasno, više nego jasno, govori o stvarnim namjerama Plenkovićevih nalogodavaca.
Ovim tempom Hrvatska za 10 godina više nije Hrvatska kakvu znamo.
Yeah, if we continue like this, Croatia in 10 years will not be the Croatia we know today.
Gospođa Ursula von der Leyen, ovo je gubernator, čovjek koji provodi briselsku politiku u Hrvatskoj.
Now he's doing the whole thing with like, oh yeah, this is Ursula. Okay, so what he's saying is Ursula von der Leyen is the one who wants to create population replacement in European Union. She's the one complicit with it. And then Andrej Plenković, as the Croatian prime minister, he is the one who is supporting her population replacement ideas from inside Croatia. Hey, Vala, thank you for the sub. Thank you. Hillary seems to be alrightish. Hillary seems to be alrightish as much as an American politician can be alrightish, really. I'm not really too positive about her in a way that I don't think she would be. I think I have high expectations out of USA in a way that as the strongest country around that helped us gain our freedom, I had really high expectations from them, and I think they are severely underperforming, and I think that almost every single option, I'm not saying every single one, because there are some USA politicians who are doing alrightish, but almost every single option apart from that is severely underperforming. They're too mild. They're too weak. And it's kind of a disappointment. And Hillary, kind of falls into that basket of politicians that are all right, but it's USA. It's USA. You expect them to be so much better, and they have the potential to be so much better. It's just sad. It's just, sad to watch. Politicians seem out of touch with the average person. It's a problem. But I have an aversion to populism, because basically if the people have the power, they're just gonna vote to give themselves free money and shit, aren't they? They need to be somewhat removed from the populace and informed by expert bureaucrats to prevent this. I think I agree. I'm not even just fully into them voting to give themselves free money. I don't think that would be the biggest danger. You know what I think would be the biggest danger? The part of the population that is against giving anyone free money. that's what really, really worries me. And that's what I think would be really, really strong if you gave people the ability to vote on these things in a referendum style manner. I believe a lot of socialist policies would be removed. I believe they would be removed. Like, just look at USA and look how many of their people are angry that the student loan debt is being cancelled. Look at how many of them are pissed off. And you know you have shit like that in your own country, right? We have people here, huge number of people who, if you ask them what's the greatest problem with Croatian economy, they will tell you it's giving help to poor people. They will tell you that we should force poor people to find work, and then they wouldn't need to be getting stuff from the state. So I think that's what really, really concerns me, because the way that it's one of those conversations where if you look at the reality of the situation, you figure out how much these people have been manipulated to just be hating on their fellows. It's like with immigration, really. It's like with immigration. So they're unable, even when you have immigrants, like even when we have Croatian immigrants going into other countries, they still will be hating on immigrants coming to Croatia. And they see themselves as separate from these people. So you have, Croatian men, mostly young men, going into Germany to work. But that's all right, because they're just trying to find jobs and they're just trying to live better lives, right? But we get people from Nepal who are mostly young men just trying to get work. Now suddenly that's a bad thing. Suddenly that's bad. They're removing themselves from the experience of people who are basically the same as they are. When it comes to social policies, I'm worried on the very much same way, because whenever I've pushed into this conversation, there's always this idea that there's like very healthy people getting social benefits, but they're like a strain on Croatian economy and we should force them to work. And whenever I go, all right, like, do you know of any locals who do that? Do you know of any examples of a local family that does that, that's getting social benefits, and thereby being a burden on the state? So far, I've had two experiences. One of them is people going, no, I don't know anyone local, because everyone local is proper. But that's because we as municipality do it properly. Other municipalities don't. And the other response that I've been given is, yes, I know someone local who's cheating the system. And then you look into someone local cheating the system, and what it turns out is, for example, we have a family here that has 5 children. All 5 of them have developmental issues. People will be complaining about that, and their reasoning is that the woman just shouldn't have been having more kids. So their idea is like we should be taking away their social support because I don't know, you want to force the parents to work as if it would make it better for the 5 children, all of which have issues in development. How will that help anyone? How will that help anyone? They require constant supervision. They're being driven to schools daily. They go to separate schools. They have separate teachers. It's like a full-time job to be taking care of these kids. Like, what do you want to do in that situation? And then we had other examples, which is, for example, you know how you get cash money in Croatia. I think a lot of European states are similar to this. You get cash money if you have a kid. It's like you got a kid, so you get cash money from the state, right? The cash money from the state continues as long as the kid is getting education. So even when the kid is past 18 years old, if they're still in high school, you're still getting cash money for this kid. And then if they go into college, you still are getting cash money for this kid, right? So people will be bringing that up, and they're like, oh, we should stop giving cash money to parents of these kids when they go into college. Who do you think you're helping with that? who do you think you're helping with that? No one would be helped by stopping this cash inflow. If a family is poor enough that they send their kid to go to college to get money so they could be paying their bills, all this money is doing is improving their situation, plus getting us a highly educated person in the system. That's good. That's fucking good, alright? No one would be helped by stopping this cash inflow. Literally no one would be helped. We would only create trouble. So yeah, I've never really heard a good argument when we get down to the reality of the situation. I have heard people claim that there's a problem, but then whenever you point to the, surroundings and you're like, okay, show me the problem here. Like, let's not just talk about your idea of the problem. Show me the problem here. Show me these problematic families that are a burden. They never can do it. They never can do it. They can never explain it. It's mostly a rhetorical thing to be talking about. State's fiscal balance would be helped. Yeah, but I would argue it would also be helped greatly by, for example, making sure that our politicians don't really need to have cars that are 4 years or younger to be used for their business. 4 years or younger. They switch cars every few years. They switch fucking cars. Why do they switch fucking cars? It all comes from the state. They don't pay for these cars themselves. It's the business cars. They gotta be 4 years or younger. Why do they have to be 4 years or younger? If we switch something like that, we would also be helping the state's fiscal balance, and we would not be creating any issue. It's a whataboutism? Yeah, because I'm considering the first problem to be genuinely non-existent. I think it's a problem that's not even worth talking about in a way to try and find something to fix. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem we're helping people who are in a bad financial situation. I don't think that the burden this is creating on the state is in any sort of a way dire enough or serious enough that we would need to be working on fixing it at any point. I don't believe it's a problem that exists really in any sort of a way. If the state is in such a serious situation that we have to be cutting off some expenses to be helping it, there's so many expenses that we should be cutting off that are not going to create a worse situation for the people in the country, right? There's so many extras we could be cutting off that I don't believe that cutting off social aid should come into question until the state is basically falling apart, basically just breaking apart, crumbling, like at the point where you have lowered the wages of all people who are on state wages currently, lowered all of their benefits, and even then, yeah, I feel like the business trips, the business cars, all of the business expenses that we are paying for them, first you would lower all of that shit if your fiscal situation was dire enough, which it isn't. It just genuinely isn't. Like, we're doing fine. We're doing all right. The only reason why people want to remove these social benefits is because they're hateful of the poor. That's the only reason. There's nothing else. Moscow Patriarchate must be deemed a terrorist organization. Fucking based. Want less people in uni? Oh, I would strongly disagree with that. I think having highly educated people is definitely a good thing. I think having highly educated people is absolutely a good thing overall. Moscow Patriarchate must be deemed a terrorist organization. Oh. Whoa. They should declare it as engaging in terrorist activities, supporting terrorism. Fucking based. Do that immediately. Please.
Andrej Plenković I Sandra Benčić provode identičnu politiku.
I moramo stvarati sigurne prolaze. Dakle, moramo imati određene sigurne puteve i mogućnost reguliranja statusa na samoj granici.
Alright, so they're being like, oh yeah, Plenković wants population replacement and so does Benčić. And as evidence that Benčić wants population replacement, they are bringing up this clip in which he says that we should create safe passages for migrants. We should be having more ways for migrants to cross into our countries legally, and then they should be controlled in a way that we can check their status as they are trying to enter. That's basically, she's like given the most basic take ever, and it's like, ooh. More specialized and focused on the best academically rather than broadening it. University should be an elite educational institution for the best of the best students. But they already have, like, would you make them have stricter conditions to get into them? Because I feel they already do have the best of the best. They already have rather... I feel the criteria, okay, I might be coming from the Croatian perspective, but ever since we introduced the... there's like a finishing of high school test that you gotta solve. And ever since we introduced that, the entry requirements have been rather good. They've been rather good. But also there's a set amount of people that can join each program in a university in each year. So when there's more people applying, the best ones get in. So like you already have, I feel you already have that. You already have the best of the best, right? You have like, oh, we're gonna get 40 people in this specific program this year. This is how many people we can take in one class. So if 100 people apply, only the best 40 are getting in. I feel we're already doing that. I feel we already are quite strict when it comes to that. And then you have universities that demand you, I mean most universities really, they demand you to solve extra tests when you're finished with high school. There's like extra tests you have to do, because right now you have to take Croatian, mathematics and English. These are like the three main ones, right? So then you take Croatian, you take mathematics, you take English, so your grades from these three basic ones are taken. But then also for most universities there's extra tests you need to take in different subjects. So like, for example, they might require history specifically, history of art, chemistry, depending on which university you're trying to get into really. But there's a specific test that you will have to take for them. And then you also have entry tests, which are how much you fit in with university specifically. So I think we're all right when it comes to that. I think we're fine really when it comes to that. Semi-direct democracies at work? Switzerland? I don't know about the Mexico situation. I do happen to know that Switzerland is... You know how people sometimes take USA and compare USA to Europe, despite the fact that European countries are rather tiny in comparison to USA states. So certain things that work in Europe will not work in USA. I feel comparing Switzerland to countries that are larger and less a bank, I feel we could not really have the same system as they have. You know what I mean? Like, it's Switzerland. Switzerland, by the virtue of being Switzerland, is rather different from the way that many of our countries operate. Switzerland has different ways to keep itself monetarily secured. So I think Switzerland's gonna be... I think Switzerland's just different. I think Switzerland is just different. I'm not saying their system doesn't work, but Switzerland has certain, let's say, benefits that a lot of our countries do not have. Switzerland exists on their own scale. Maybe more Western-centric problem, but there is a push to try and take in more people, increase diversity of entrants. I don't really think they're still doing the entrance test though, aren't they? But also, to be fair, we didn't really have the whole increasing diversity thing in Croatia, so I'm not really sure on the basis of a university how it would be dealt with. Those who are diversity tokens tend to be as capable as those who have historically managed to get in. Biases have been acknowledged. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure how it would be dealt with in order to make everything fair. Because the way I see it, you know what was going on in Germany when I was in Germany? I feel something like that would probably be the easiest thing to do. When I was in Germany, they had this thing where jobs could not demand your certain information if you were applying for a job. So, for example, your picture couldn't be demanded. They couldn't ask you for your picture, and there were even some jobs where they wouldn't even ask for your name, or they wouldn't ask for your ethnicity, they wouldn't ask for your age, because it was like, oh, you're not allowed to be discriminating on all of these bases. So when you send your application to this job, it's supposed to just be listing your accomplishments. And it's not really supposed to be listing anything else that could be used against you in a discriminatory way. So the way I would understand increasing diversity in universities would probably be like that. So we ensure that when people apply for university, only some information, that being the grades and the results of the end of high school test and then the results of the entrance test, only that information is sent into the system, and then the system picks out 40 best people to be taken into this university program. It doesn't take into account anything else. But that's basically that. I don't know what extras you could be doing. It's an entrance test. You just gotta pass high school pretty much. You don't have an entrance test? That's weird. Don't you have issues with high schools? Oh, that's weird. Don't you have issues with high schools giving good grades to students who are well liked? Because that was the reason why we got end of high school test. It's because we noticed that on universities there's a lot of people who drop out really soon. And it turns out that the reason they drop out is because they're not able to be in this university. They're not able to keep up with the tasks. And they're not able to keep up with the tasks because in high school, the teachers would be giving them good grades because they liked the student. It's something that happens in elementary school too, which is why now we have end of elementary school test. So the teachers are given, there's kids that they like more, so they give them good grades. And then these kids will get into really tough high schools, and then they would not be able to compete with everyone else who got grades properly. So what we had to implement was end of elementary school tests and then end of high school tests, right? So, even if you have been given all perfect grades in elementary school, this end of elementary school test checks whether you deserve those grades or if you do not. And then when you apply for a high school, you're applying for a high school based on the grades you got on the end of elementary school test. And the grades that you were given previously, they matter, but they don't matter nearly as much. So it's a fairest way to climb. It's a fairest way to climb. Want to minimize dropouts? Oh, so yeah, subsidizing it increases dropout rates. because people are basically able to go there for cheap, free, just to party and shit and drop out halfway. Could see that, but then if you remove the subsidies, you're also removing aid from a lot of people who actually could be using it. So I feel the better way would be just to do the Croatian way, really, and to introduce proper testing. Why wouldn't you have proper testing? I mean, it is quite hard to organize, though. It took us few years to perfect it. I was in one of the test years when I was finishing high school. I was in one of the test years they were like figuring out whether or not these end of high school tests are how to do them in the most efficient way, right? But they're being done now regularly at the end of high school and at the end of elementary school too, and I feel that's a much better way to do it than it would be to cut off subsidies. Top Start of Havens? Ayo! Ayo! Congrats, my dears, congrats. Croatia used to be really high up on that list too. I don't know why we are not.
preuzeo postupanje protiv Andreja Plenkovića, lažima ga pokušavaju braniti Božinović i Milina. Što se događa kada hrvatska policija uhiti krijumčara migranata s punim kombijem ilegalnih migranata, mladih, vojno sposobnih muškaraca iz Afganistana? Hrvatska policija
You know what they're doing now? You know what they're doing now? They're being like, oh, young military-aged men are being smuggled into our countries. Look at how many smugglers we have arrested. That's it. Immigrants bad because people are smuggling them, taking advantage of them and then smuggling them inside other countries for money.
krijumčara migranata, a sve te ilegalne migrante odmah pusti i još im da privremenu zaštitu.
Sve one koje
Yeah, they're doing the whole thing with like we are arresting people who bring the migrants into our country, but we do not arrest the migrants themselves, which is in line with the Croatian law. Crossing the border illegally itself is not a crime, but smuggling migrants over the border, that is a crime, my dude, that is a crime. Of course smugglers are being arrested. I don't know why they're surprised about this, why they're surprised that different punishments are being given to people in this situation. It's just...
Policije drugih evropskih država zateknu na svom teritoriju imaju pravo vratiti u Hrvatsku. Svih 68.500 javnosti se skrivaju noćni transporti kojima se tajno dovoze tisuće migranata koje su druge evropske države vratile u državu koja im je odobrila privremenu zaštitu, to jest azil, natrag u Hrvatsku. Predsjednik Domovinskog pokreta...
Yeah, they're talking about the fact that Croatia has given these people temporary protection, asylum. Croatia is giving them asylum. So because Croatia gives them asylum, they can sometimes be returned to Croatia if they from Croatia enter another country illegally, right? Which...
Kao Hrvat i hrvatski građanin, kao čovjek, kao otac i suprug, prijatelj i susjed, ne mogu više čekati ni časa i zajedno sa svima vama gledati kako Andrej Plenković uništava lijepu našu Hrvatsku.
Yeah, this is just bullshit. Andrej Plenković destroying our great Croatia by allowing immigrants in.
Lijepu i sigurnu zemlju, kao Hrvatsku. Zahtijevamo da se protiv Andreja Plenkovića pokrene kazneni progon zbog teškog kršenja zakona o nadzoru državne granice, ali i kršenja Ustava Republike Hrvatske.
Da li je to vaša...
Oh, that's ridiculous. Wait, you're only subsidizing the first year? You're only subsidizing the first year? You don't do it until the end of college? You only subsidize the first year? Do these chuds know international law? These chuds, no. No, this is specifically a Croatian nationalistic political party, which for some horrible reason is getting more support than it should, really. We're having elections tomorrow, and I'm quite worried about these fuckers getting any sort of any sort of power, really, any. Then you get students who can't afford it, go there to party and shit, and then just drop out. Oh, but like, why just the first year? Why not everything else? I feel you should have everything else. No. Us, my man, we're doing it better. We're doing it better. Why don't you have everything subsidized? We give everything subsidized. It's like, it's all free. As long as you are, I think, younger than, is it 25 when you start your first college year? You get all of it subsidized every single year. It's all free. So you don't have to pay for a single damn thing when you go to college. So I like that. I like that, to be honest. I'm not really... it's a weird system to only give the first year. Yeah, that's bullshit. Even if you're a student who's working really, really hard, and then you can't afford the next year, so you just gotta drop out, that's heartbreaking. Oh, that's horrible.
Ne, nije. Nemojte dopustiti da vas opet prevare. Nemojte dopustiti da vašim glasovima vode njihovu politiku. Plenkovićev HDZ vašim glasovima vodi njihovu politiku.
I love how they keep on reusing the same little video and the numbers spinning, because they know exactly what's the IQ of people who they are speaking to with this. Like they know exactly who the voters are that they are trying to get, so that's why they keep on constantly replaying this. That is ridiculous. That was just ridiculous. I'm feeling horrible about having watched this. feeling rather disheartened in this state of Croatian politics, to be honest. What else? Wait, we had this, but this is the population replacement? Oh, and then we have questions about abortion. Oh, great. Oh, great. Oh, yeah. We're having... This is what they're talking about. We're having... How to say it? There's drama in Croatian political circles right now. There's drama because we have Most. And Most is the brain dead party. Most is one of the three bad ones. So here's the Most. And Most is basically a party that's going to do... They used to be a party that's going to do anything to get into government. So they used to be neutral. And then when they got votes for being neutral, then they went right-wing. And when I say right-wing, I mean really, really right-wing. So Most was talking about abortion recently, and one of their representatives said that whether or not a woman has an abortion should be her own choice. And for most people in the country, this was like, whoa, a normal take? A normal take from our resident shit-eaters? A normal opinion? What happened? Should we go and vote for them? Are they stopping their radicalization? What is happening? And then more people from Most came out and they were like, nah, she was speaking for herself. She sees it as the woman's choice. We don't, okay? On a political party level, we don't know why she said what she said, but she wasn't speaking in our name. So now there's currently a whole drama about it, because Most is trying really hard to keep the votes from their usual voter base while figuring out that they had a potential to get more votes from normal people, and they blew it. Wait, is there something new happening today in Gaza? Because I have not heard of anything new. So if there's something like fresh today, I haven't seen it. Russia will provide Iran with advanced fighter jets and air defense technology. Great. Gaza is so beautiful. What are you talking about? Israel and Iran are beefing. Saw that. Saw people being really supportive of Iran saw people being really supportive of the Iranian regime today. I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, I saw that, where's our woman? Where's our woman? Where's our woman? Here she is. She made a video on this and she was basically just pissed off.
It's become very apparent that you haven't been listening to anything that we've had to say for the past 2 years. But I was wondering if you could just lend me a few minutes of your time in this ungodly hour.
What the fuck are you
to
saying,
hear
Majid?
us now. We've had to watch over the past 24 hours people clambering onto the internet to exclaim that Iran has the right to defend itself. In what capacity have you distorted this story to make the Islamic Republic the victim? That's I think what we're most curious about. When we were screaming for the past 2 years that they were lynching us, where were you? When we were screaming that they were killing Iranian women for not wearing a hijab, where were you? When they were lynching Iranian men from cranes for protesting, where were you? When we were explaining that this is a terrorist occupying force, where were you? But all of a sudden, everyone's graduated from Instagram School of Law to say that this is a violation of international law and Iran has the right to defend itself. First of all, you're not talking about Iran, you're talking about the Islamic Republic. What the Islamic Republic does is not a reflection of the Iranian people. We've been clear about what we want, which is peace. Second of all, you may have discovered the Middle East yesterday, but the Middle East didn't start existing yesterday. If you want to talk about an act of war, just a few days ago, a federal court determined that the attacks on Israeli embassies and Jewish centers in Argentina were conducted by the Islamic Republic and Hezbollah. That was in the 90s. That was in the 90s. Was that an act of war? How about the terror proxies that the Islamic Republic has created to foster regional instability? What did you think that they were there for? What did you think Hezbollah was there for? Hamas, Houthis, the militia groups in Iraq and Syria. Did you think that they were there to instigate a system of public schooling, education, to feed the poor, house the unhoused? What did you think that they were there for? Is that an act of war? Was October 7th an act of war? Are the rockets that Hezbollah fires into northern Israel on a near daily basis an act of war? And so when these senior IRGC commanders meet up with Hezbollah in an IRGC military base, okay, not an Iranian embassy, and Israel strikes, your response is to say that that is an act of war. If you had listened to us for the past 2 years, much less the past 45 years, you'd know that Iranians don't want war with Israel. We want peace with Israel. Iranian people inside of Iran have come out and said this over and over and over again. It's you that wants war with Israel. It's your hatred for Israel and your hatred for Jews that's pulling us into a war that we didn't ask for. Have we not suffered enough for the past 45 years that we now have to be used as pawns for your fantasies about war with Israel? Leave us alone. We don't want that. So if you want to support the Islamic Republic in putting Iranians' lives at risk and everyone's lives at risk, they just killed a 10-year-old Bedouin boy for this. Is that what you wanted? Then just come out and say that with your whole chest. Say you support the Islamic Republic in their continued aggressions that put everybody's lives at risk. But don't say Iran. For 2 years we asked you to come out and say free Iran, and now you want to speak up to put our lives at risk and say go to war, Iran. You are no friend to the Iranian people for that. Hi, Iranian woman.
Thread's doing the thing.
Very apparent that
Thread's doing the thing where it like starts playing the video again once you finish it. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that. But yeah, overall, she's been speaking about this for, yeah, genuinely the past 2 years. I remember when they had the protest 2 years ago, if you remember, she was really outspoken. She was doing several She did several attempts to try and bring attention to people who were arrested for protesting in order to save their lives. I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if you remember that failing, because I strongly remember that failing. I strongly remember that. What happened is several men were arrested at the time for protesting, and they were being held in prison, and their execution was imminent. And she was attempting to create more attention in media, because the idea was if we create more attention in media for these people, then they will not be executed. And what happened is they were executed, and what happened is it turns out that the media attention didn't really give as many shits as I think anyone expected it would, because it was covered for a while, and then people just stopped talking about this. So yeah, I think it is important to be hearing the Iranian people, and also I do think it's very important that when we talk about the actions of Iranian government, we do keep in mind the Iranians' people relationship with their government, and the fact that their people were literally hanged from fucking cranes in the middle of the street because they were protesting against the government, and yet they still protest. They still protest, and they are still trying to get freed from the regime that has been controlling them. So yeah. You're not really looking at the Russia situation, that part of the world, and I think the idea that we are looking at the Russian situation is what is creating in a lot of people a way to kind of lump the Iranian people with that government, when I don't really think that's what we have been seeing. Where were we? Oh yeah, also Georgia, incredible. Saw his interview later. I don't know if it was published. Oh, it is. This, I saw this. I love that. I love him. He's understanding the danger. He's understanding it, and I love him. Just like, look at this. Holy shit. Is that not the best thing you've seen? Love him. An incredible man. But yeah, good luck to Georgian people. Their protests have been huge. The protests have been incredible. And I'm hoping they work. Definitely. The situation is really, really dire. Putting things up people's asses. Hey, look. Man. And of course you have the Russians. You get Russians daring to comment on shit. Because it's Twitter. It's Twitter, and they still haven't been kicked off the platform for some reason. United States artillery at the front is 1 to 10, aircraft are 1 to 30. Iran transfers 300 to 350 Shaheeds to Russia every month, of course. Fuck that. Whoa! Ukrainian military hit a long-range radar with a range of 700 kilometers in Bryansk region. The cost of this radar is estimated at 100 million. Bam! Oh yeah, also there was a situation with Johnson. There was a situation, he was basically supposed to people were being like, oh, it's going to be really interesting to see how he is going to approve of sending aid to Israel, but not going to approve of sending aid to Ukraine, right? Like he's going to need to figure out a way to put it into the bill that Israel is getting aid, but Ukraine is not. Let's see what he does. And what he did is he separated the bills. He separated the bills. That's basically what he's doing. He wants to have a specific one for Israel and then a specific one for Ukraine. So it's not like, oh, to some allies we help, to some we don't. It's like, oh, right now we're helping this one ally, and then completely separately from that, we're not helping this ally, right? But it's completely separately. There's nothing connecting the two. There's nothing connecting the two. It's like a complete other USA in these two situations. So yeah, he's figured it out. He's figured it out. Oh, Czechia to send the first 180,000 artillery shells to Ukraine as part of its own initiative and is now trying to get 300,000 more. Working to secure a further 300,000 rounds and have already contracted the first 180,000. These will be delivered to the Ukrainian front in the coming months. Oh shit. Are we worried about that? Are we worried it's gonna be too late? Not too late when it comes to winning the war. Too late in a way that the situation is going to get a lot more critical in the coming months. Seems very not definitive to me. They are running out of ammunition, meaning they are forced to make difficult decisions every day. This makes it extremely hard to hold alliance, the very lines that will decide the security and future of the whole of Europe. Czechia has found over 1 million artillery shells worldwide that could be bought for Ukraine from places outside European Union. Jake bro? Elon Musk announced he will be laying off about 10% of Tesla's workforce. Incredible. Being a sellout to Russian Chinese fascism is a bad business decision. Hurts your brand value, of course it is. Oh my man, this interview.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Oh, I'm so sad they didn't show the rest of the clip, because he goes, he's like, go fuck yourself, and then he's waiting for the audience to cheer for him. Oh yeah, without USA, definitely we're gonna be in a really dire situation, definitely. Man. Don't know if you've been watching though. Don't know if you've been watching. Oh, here they are. I wanted to show you this one.
Всем известный. Он был родственник повешенного декабриста, другого Муравьева. И когда ему на это пеняли, он говорил, я не из тех Муравьевых, которых вешают, я из тех Муравьевых, которые вешают сами. И действительно повесил публично 128 боевиков, которые, естественно, западная пресса называла никакими не боевиками, а инсургентами, повстанцами, участников польского восстания, которые творили немыслимые зверства во время этого восстания не только по отношению к военнослужащим российским, но и по отношению к духовнослужителям и простым людям. Известная история, как пожилую женщину-помещицу повесили там на люстре, на свечах. Вот он повесил их 128 человек, и я что хочу сказать. Вот такие вешатели нам нужны. Уж не знаю, дойдет ли до Польши или нет, но даже те территории, которые уже наши, очень нам нужна та дисциплина, о которой ты рассказывал в начале.
Just overinflated because people thought actual self-driving would be legalized soon. Oh, I remember there was also something about affordable Tesla that was supposed to be coming to the market, but I haven't looked a lot into this. What I remember is that he was supposed to release a car that was supposed to be affordable to the wider public, and he scrapped those plans recently. Basically, that car is not coming. So, because he scrapped those plans and the car is not coming, it turns out that quite a lot of people have also pulled away from supporting the firm in the first place. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, 35k. Only with some certain tax credits factored in. Oh, like that, yeah. I remember that he published It's Not Coming, and people were pissed off. People were pissed off because it was like a big reason why a lot of people supported Tesla as a firm and why they expected it to become something greater in the future. And then he just kind of blew all of it, so... Every insurgent movement is simply a freedom fight to return to the glorious Russian world. True. You can't even imagine how powerful they are. The ratio of aircraft is 1 to 30. Holy shit. Oh.
Recently, we've seen both sides in the war in Ukraine embarking on what can be called strategic bombing campaigns. The Russians are attacking Ukraine's electricity power plants, and Ukraine has started a drone campaign against targets in Russia, but especially the oil refineries. I intend to probably dedicate 2 videos, separate videos.
Lots of manufacturing defects.
In this one, I want to focus on the Ukrainian
one.
So I want to talk about what the purpose is of hitting oil refineries and where it can lead if we look into the future. So,
he gave whole world to Russia, but Russia-friendly countries would give land to other countries.
How much Ukraine has been going after Russia's oil refineries over the last couple of months.
Ridiculous. You expect me to believe, without a shred of evidence, that Russia would give land to other countries? Come on. Come on. God, I can take that. I can take that. God creating the land, sure. Russia existing that far back. Alright. Russia giving anything to other countries? Nah.
March, there has been an export ban on refined oil products, and there are some reports that Russia has also been trying to import some oil products from Belarus. It doesn't seem like it's not huge amounts of gasoline that they're importing, but still it's interesting that Russia has basically gone from being a country that exports these things to now apparently they have become an importer of these products.
Yes, they have.
There have been some rumors that Russia has been asking Kazakhstan to save a kind of strategic reserve that Russia can use if they need to. And all this indicates that Ukraine does have some success in hitting these oil refineries.
Stop, Danny, got your heart broken.
Impacting the Russian production. It's of course relevant to ask why on earth is Ukraine attacking oil refineries.
What do you mean it's relevant to ask?
Supply of these long-range attack drones that can
make
these attacks, and there are many other types of targets that one could imagine that it would be relevant to strike, maybe more military facilities. So what is it about oil refineries? What an oil refinery does is that it transforms crude oil into different kinds of refined oil products like gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, those sorts of things. So basically it turns crude oil into fuel that can actually be used by machines. And by hitting the oil refineries, Ukraine is creating a shortage of gasoline and other types of fuel in the Russian system. They could have been hitting other elements in the supply chain, but they have identified that the oil refineries are the most vulnerable spot in the whole production line. And the reason for that is that an oil refinery is a very technically very sophisticated installation. So if they can hit the oil refinery in the right place, then it can take a long time.
Shitload of work which I need to eat. Understandable, my man. I see ya.
And In fact, these refineries have
Same here.
largely
Can't
been
wait for
built
my
by,
vacation. Holy shit.
Western companies that no longer operate in Russia. So because of the sanctions, then Russia might not even be able to repair these facilities at all. I think there is a bit of confusion about how hitting these oil refineries is intended to create problems for Russia. I've seen some people arguing that it doesn't actually hurt the Russian state all that much because it just means that instead of exporting the refined products, Russia will have to export more crude oil. And the profit of selling crude oil is a bit smaller than if you're selling refined products, but it's not dramatic, and they can still make
2
money.
hours before the deadline?
But I
Holy
think that is
shit.
misunderstanding what the effects
Wait,
are
do you
going to
just...
be, because the point of the attacks is actually
what do you do
not
when
so
you
much
finish your taxes?
to
You
sort
send
of
them
deprive
online?
the Russian
How does that
state of
work?
this source of income. That's not the most important point of the attacks. Rather, the most important
You just
effect
you
is
get
that it
online into a
creates
system and you
shortage
send
of
that shit?
gasoline in the Russian society in general.
We undo our
that
taxes here.
then the Russian government
Fill the
will
forms
have
online.
to make some very
Oh,
tough decisions
okay, that
about
makes sense. That makes
the
sense.
distribution of the gasoline.
I was like, bro,
they
if you
have.
if you gotta send a
So you
mail
say
or
that
something.
there are two consumers in Russia. There is the military and there is the civilian society. And the military is, of course, engaged in the war in Ukraine right now, and they have just very big consumption of fuel at the moment. And if they don't get that fuel, then they can't keep up the tempo of operations. So that is, of course, one option that the Russian state has. Like, they can decide not to give the military so much fuel so that the civilian society will have more. But that, I think that's probably not something
Mama's
that they're going
realistic.
to do.
Yeah, they're not
It
gonna
does
do
not
that.
seem likely
They
that the
could
Russian
help the
government would ask
civilians.
the military to save on fuel in this situation. More likely, the shortage will impact the civilian society in Russia. And that will create inflation. It's the normal rules of demand and supply. If there is a bigger demand than supply in society, then prices will go up. So ordinary Russians will feel this when they fill the car at the gas station. The gasoline will just suddenly get really
Floods
expensive.
large city.
But the smart thing about hitting the fuel
Can't be fueling your car
is that it
if there's no
creates
car.
ripple effects that permeate all of society.
Can't
Because
be heating your house
transportation in
if there's no
general
house.
will get more expensive when the fuel costs
Praise
go up.
Putin.
And almost everything has to be transported at some point. So if there is a
Can't
fuel
transport
shortage, then
if no
prices
roads.
will go up on all the products that you can buy in the supermarket. So what's going to happen is that if Ukraine can keep up these attacks on the Russian oil refineries, then we will see a dramatic increase in the inflation in Russia. And the Russian economy is under a significant pressure already. They are essentially financing the war by pumping savings into society, and they have a significant labor shortage. And these are things that already create inflation. And then if we have a fuel crisis on top of that, or an energy crisis, I guess we could also call it, then it can potentially lead to a collapse of the Russian economy.
Hopeful.
So I think it's important that we don't understand these attacks on the refineries as an attempt to hit sort of a particular source of income for the Russian state. And it's also not so much an attempt to limit the availability of diesel and gasoline for the military, because
Yeah, I can't really see the crumbling of the entire economy. He's a bit more positive on this.
At least in the short term. But it is absolutely an attempt to try to cause the Russian economy to collapse. Ukraine is trying to hit the Russian economy in the place where they think it's most vulnerable. And they hope that if the Russian economy collapses, then it will be impossible for the Russians to keep up the military production that is needed to continue the war. We're a couple of months into this strategic bombing campaign against the Russian oil refineries. It's already impressive what the Ukrainians have been able to achieve. They have developed some very long-range drones that have the ability to strike more than 1,000 kilometers from the border to Ukraine. So they can hit a big part of Western Russia with these drones. And it's obvious that Russia has a problem in providing...
Oh, I think Ukrainian economy actually is... I think it's supported well.
This development of drone technology, it's continuing. So
we're failing in military support, which is a big problem. I think we're not failing that much with
we're going to see them be able
monetary
to
support
for
for their economy.
Production. So we are not yet at a level where this is critical for Russia.
Of course, we're not doing perfectly, right? But we're doing better. We're doing better.
To reduce the Russian refining capacity by 12 to 14% in 3 months, then imagine what they will be able to do before the end of the year. So I think one of the most interesting things to follow this year will be to see how the Russian economy is doing. If Ukraine will be successful at creating these effects, and we will start to see rising inflation. This is, of course, also why the Ukrainians are so keen on continuing these strikes, because they believe that it might be an important ingredient in being able to win the war in the long run. There have been some reports that the Americans don't really like it. Supposedly, Jake Sullivan, who is the U.S. National Security Advisor, he was in Kiev to apparently try to convince the Ukrainians not to bomb the Russian oil facilities because it can create maybe rising gas prices just on a global level. And the Americans were concerned that this could be a problem for President Biden in the upcoming elections. So this was not at all well received by the Ukrainians. And I think it's just one of those cases where the Americans have to learn that if you're not actually providing weapons to help another country win a war, then you also don't really get a say in how they fight the war. But that might actually be an effect with the rising gas prices. We might see a sort of globally that the prices of gasoline can increase as a result of this Ukrainian campaign to hit the Russian oil refineries. Before I finish, I just also quickly want to touch on the question of whether or not it's legal for Ukraine to be targeting these oil facilities. In a war, it's only legal to target military targets, and the question is, of course, whether these oil refineries, do they count as a valid military target? Because it's not actually legal to wage war on another country's economy. That is not a valid military target. There are some nuances when it comes to things like a maritime blockade, for example, but that's not what we're talking about here. So these oil refineries, if they are civilian objects, then it would not be illegal to be targeting them. But we are here in the realm of dual-purpose technology. So that is something that serves both a civilian and a military purpose, and here are different rules. When it comes to dual-purpose technology, then the laws of armed conflict are essentially such that we fall back on the basic principles. So that is the principle of distinction, proportionality, and necessity. So you have to do whatever you can to distinguish between the military part of the object and the civilian part of the object. The attack has to be necessary from a military point of view, and the consequences for civilians have to be proportionate to the military advantage that you get from conducting the attack. And in this case, I will say Ukraine is probably mostly on safe grounds, because what they're doing is that they are creating a fuel shortage, and then it is actually up to the Russian government to decide if they want to prioritize the military over the civilian society. And anyways, I'd say that rising inflation is probably in the mild end of consequences that the civilian population might have to endure as a result of attacks on dual-purpose technology. It's not like the hospital stopped working or something like that. Okay,
I see that.
I
see that. Yeah, I agree with Russia not having a shortage of oil. I don't think it's going to be a slight dent to the exports. I do think it could be rather serious. When it comes to their exports of refined oil, I do think it could be serious, and I do think we're going to see a drop in that. But I don't think that the Russian economy itself is going to be as impacted by this. I definitely agree with that. And I mean, it's Russia. They're going to be doing all right. It's Russia. Like in the worst case scenario, what you're going to see is their military is still going to be getting as much oil as they need, and you're going to see the people carrying the cost of that. And the Russian people, I think, have shown us already how they react to those types of situations. So genuinely, you're not going to see anything in Russia. Like, you're going to see shit getting more expensive, and then there's going to be people asking an ordinary Russian, hey, what do you think about the fact that your oil now costs 20 times more than what it used to cost? And they're going to be like, those damned Ukrainians, if they died faster, we would not be dealing with that. And that's going to be it. So, yeah, I don't really think this is going to create anything big when it comes to that. But when it comes to their exports being harmed, I do think we're going to see that. And I do think that's all right. I do think that's all right. Haven't heard of any casualties. Oh, same. Oh, same. True. Huh. Hope they bomb every barrel of oil. Yeah, same. Absolutely same. Like, what are we doing? Don't hit Russian oil refineries because that might increase the global price. The global price being lower is literally the reason why we allowed Russia to go and ethnically cleanse Georgia. It's why we allowed them to go and invade Crimea. It's the low price of gas, the low price of oil that we are getting from Russia. And now they're saying, hey, we want to keep the same incentive to turn a blind eye to Russians killing people, right? We want to keep the same incentive. We quite liked ignoring Russians killing people, so we could get cheaper oil. And now you're kind of taking the cheaper oil away. That's not really something that we like. That's not really something that we agree with, you know? Yeah, I don't take bittery about that seriously at all. I hope Ukrainians continue, and I hope they manage to destroy Russian exports even more, mostly because I'm wondering what sort of reactions this is going to cause in countries that used to rely on Russian exports. I'm very interested in that, and I'm very hopeful to see them turning to other suppliers. Girkin, or Girkin's friend, is not convinced of Russia's ruling elite ability to succeed. Fuck them, I don't care about these twats. Huh? Oh shit. He would have said 32 today. Man, how heartbreaking. How fucking heartbreaking. Zelensky called on Western countries to provide the same support to Ukraine as they did to Israel. Hey, by the way, what did I see up there in chat? Copenhagen? What happened in Copenhagen? What do I not know? Israel, United States, Britain, France and Jordan acted together against Iranian attacks using missiles and attack drones and did so with maximum effectiveness, Zelensky said in his daily video message. He noted at the same time Israel is not a member of NATO. The whole world has seen by the example of the actions of allies in the skies of Israel and neighboring countries how really effective unity in the defense against terror can be if unity is based on sufficient political will. True. True. He just said Ukraine would be better served to hit strategic military targets, probably because that's what he was trained at the academy. That would be true if you have plenty of ammo and weapons like USA. Oh, I've also heard of another person saying that. The man mentioned Sullivan and... Oh fuck, who do I remember? The woman! USA political woman, can't remember her name, but apparently she also said something about against Ukraine targeting facilities. What's her name? Hitting Russian oil facilities. I'm gonna Google the female. I don't know who it was, I don't remember. Oh, Harris. Was it Harris? Kamala Harris? They're saying that she met with Zelensky during the Munich Security Conference in February and urged him to refrain from striking Russian oil refineries. Harris's request irritated Zelensky and his aides. The Ukrainian president brushed off these recommendations because he was not sure that they reflected on the consensus position of the Joe Biden administration. Yeah, Jake Sullivan, US National Security Advisor, made these warnings in March. Since then, Ukraine struck a number of Russian facilities, including an attack on 2nd April on Russia's third largest oil refinery in Tatarstan. US officials say that supporting global energy markets to reduce inflation is a priority for the Biden administration ahead of the presidential elections. Well, yeah, if they gave Ukraine more weapons, then maybe Ukraine would need to be going around hitting the oil refineries. So, yeah, maybe make some smarter decisions. Lloyd Austin criticized Ukrainian strikes, questioning their impact on the war. Oh, that's what you mentioned, right? Estonian foreign minister believes Ukraine's attacks are justified since they help curb Russia's revenues and make it harder for Russia to wage war. Latvian president stated Ukraine has every right to strike Russian oil refineries after the latest Russian attack on Ukraine. Stoltenberg believes Ukraine has the right to strike legitimate military targets outside its borders. Isn't Russia trying to limit their exports of gasoline anyway? This will increase exports because they'll have more crude. Oh. Is it trying to limit exports? It could affect them domestically. Oh yeah, that too. Long game, the election is pretty darn important for Ukraine. Yeah, true. Though, it's a hard thing to calculate, I feel. Like, do we pull back from hitting Russia? Because if we pull back from hitting Russia in order to keep the gas price lower, in order to, make it more likely for Biden to win, how much do we actually lose in the war? How much benefits is that giving to Russia? It's the question of how much ground will Russia be allowed to take and how many more people will it be allowed to kill in an effort to protect Biden's chances. And then even that, it's also a question of they've been protected for a very long time and he is still very threatened by Trump. Would it even help? Would it even create a situation where a sufficient amount of people turns to the side of Biden because the gas prices are lower? How many people do we think in USA are now hanging by the thread of low gas prices in order to choose who to vote for? There wasn't any threat from USA, it was just please stop with no or else. True, I am worried about the please stop itself. I'm kind of worried about that too. I think it shows a lack of commitment. And I think it shows a lack of unity in what we would see as the West. I think it's concerning still. People don't notice when they're lower, but they really notice if they are higher. True. Like, would they be... I mean, maybe they would be stupid enough to blame Biden for it. But people stupid enough to blame Biden for it and to think that Trump is going to make the prices lower because he's going to be friends with Russia. Aren't they already people willing to vote for Trump because they think Trump is going to be friends with Russia and he's going to make prices lower? Isn't that group already in the Trump part of the voting body? It's about increasing domestic petrol prices in Russia, although it's already pretty cheap from the get-go, and they have plenty of room to curb petrol exports more. So wait, when USA worries about global gas prices rising, do you think that's it's a worry of other countries. It's not a worry of Russia because this will not affect Russia at all. Oh yeah, it probably will increase prices around the world. Yeah. So it's going to like, the idea is that like when people are arguing against the sanctions, the idea is that sanctions don't really hurt Russia itself, but they hurt countries that apply sanctions. So the idea would be here too is that the West is supporting Ukrainian hits on Russian oil refineries. There's more damage that is going to come to the West, by the prices being higher now than is going to happen to Russia itself. Is that the idea? Trump voters are completely fine with throwing Ukraine under the bus if it means they get $2 gas for their trucks. I do see that. I wonder if are we saying that right now these types of people, there's sufficient amount of them that are going to vote for Biden anyways? And then if the gas prices get higher, they're going to switch to voting for Trump. Because the way it seems to me is that people willing to throw Ukraine under the bus to get cheaper gas, I think they already are in the Trump zone. I don't really think these people are undecided. I think they already are in the Trump zone. As long as Russia has room to curb their petrol exports, they will make the rest of the world pay the price instead of themselves. I see that. I see that. Lots of normies who don't follow any news, who vote based on how they feel economically. Oh, so like they're not in any group right now. They're not in the Biden group, they're not in the Trump group, and they're going to decide who to vote for based on like when they go to the voting booth and they refill their gas on the way to how expensive it is. Could say that. If you can get Russia down to a level where they have to stop all exports, including to friendly countries, then that will hit them hard, but I think that seems unlikely. Because right now they're essentially restricting exports only to countries in their bloc. Oh, so you think they will not have to restrict it further? Because I kind of hoped they will. I hoped not for a quick sort of reaction in this, of course, but I kind of hoped that they will have to maybe pick allied countries, pick countries in their bloc that are more important to them, and then they will have to stop exports to the less important ones. I kind of hoped it would start from that. You'd have to talk to someone, still undecided. Oh, yeah, that too. I mean, the elections, the whole pre-election campaign thing has been going on for so long. I imagine most people already have at least a vague idea on who to vote for. Especially when the options are so drastic. I don't think Ukraine has range and ability to do that kind of damage, but I'm not super informed. I remember people writing statistically about how much Russian exports production, how much Russian production is going to be impacted by the hits that Ukraine did so far. And it wasn't, I believe it was double digits, if I'm not mistaken. Nothing too serious, nothing too grand of a number, but still a bit more than you would expect if it won't make any impact. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of what got me hopeful, but now that I think about it, I haven't really looked too deeply, so I don't know. How do I even Google that? How the fuck do I Google that shit? I don't know. But I remember it was a bit more than I expected. That was not work friendly. Olaf Scholz says he will discuss achieving a just peace in Ukraine with Xi Jinping in China. Not happy. Not happy. Not happy about that. Not happy about that at all. She will say as well. Allies have a list of what we need technically. Russia is hitting us with aircraft 300 kilometers away. We don't have the weapons to shoot them down right now. Russia wants to destroy us. They do not need any peace talks. Yeah, the talk about like just peace. How can you have just peace? What do you mean just peace? With Russia? What do you mean? Moscow might transfer fighters and air defense equipment to Iran. Great. Military cooperation between Moscow and Tehran has reached a new level. Great. Great. Just incredible. Amazing. Great. What's going on with G? Why does he have a lot on his plate? What is going on? What is happening to my man? Oh.
France and Jordan, along with Israel. You're saying it sent a signal to see the allies come together, the US and UK and France and Jordan, along with Israel, repelling many hundred drones and missiles that were launched on Israel that day. In your joint address to the nation last night, you said the whole world saw what real defense is. The whole world saw that Israel was not alone in this defense. Do you think that the same message is
Economy
being
is
sent
shit,
to the
looming
world
demographic
about
crisis.
Ukraine?
Doesn't trust his military.
Дуже простий. На Трипільській станції. А від неї залежить світло в Київському регіоні. Летіло 11 ракет. Перші 7 ми знищили. 4 знищили Трипілля.
Man.
Чому? Тому що було ракет 0. У нас закінчились всі ракети, які захищали Трипілля. Ви знаєте, коли говорять, що союзники не можуть нам дати ту чи іншу зброю, або не можуть бути в Україні тими чи іншими силами, тому що тоді буде сприйматись, що Україна затягнула НАТО в війну. Так я вам хочу поставити після вчорашньої атаки питання. Ізраїль в НАТО чи ні? Ось вам і відповідь. Ізраїль не країна НАТО. Союзники, країни НАТО, в тому числі країни НАТО, захищали Ізраїль. Показали силами Ірану, що Ізраїль був не наодинці, і це урок. І це відповідь всім, хто каже на будь-якому континенті, що Україні треба допомагати дуже обережно, щоб не втягнути країни НАТО в війну.
Man.
You're saying it sent a signal to see the
%,
allies
instead of a billion, gajillion % like it usually does. Man, though, man. He called separating the bills in the US House a shame for the world and purely symbol politics. Upcoming peace summit in Switzerland will exclude Russia to prevent obstruction of the initiative. Zelensky said Putin only seeks to destroy Ukraine based. I'm surprised this was allowed. I am genuinely surprised. Like a good thing we're not having to look at them, but I'm surprised. I expected someone's going to be inviting Russia over already. I'm still like, what? Russia's not gonna be around? Nice. We agreed on that? Nice. We actually made a decision to exclude them? Nice. Very surprising, but whoa. Vibes matter more to the Chinese people when it comes to economy.
Поняли? Уничтожьте всю критическую инфраструктуру Украины.
Unexpected, it just sucks.
Містер Путін, від імені всього колективного заходу. Ой, секундочку. Да. Попали в многоэтажку, приехали спасатели. Отлично, цельтесь в то же место еще раз, чтобы жертв было побольше. Містер Путін, негайно вислухайте нас. Да-да, продовжайте. Від імені всього колективного заходу ми хочемо... Один момент. Ну?
Владимир Владимирович, у нас из-за паводков прорвало дамбу.
Утопаем!
Надо срочно решить эту проблему.
Решить проблему? Ну так разнесите к чертям украинскую дамбу тоже, чтобы нашим не обидно было. Да и вообще, сносите украинские города авиабомбами, ведь за 2 года войны никто так и не помог им полностью закрыть небо.
Так, досить. Від імені всього колективного заходу ми хочемо висловити наші щирі співчуття щодо теракту в Москві.
Спасибо, лузери.
Oh man, that was good. Oh man. Fair. Proper, fair. Yeah. Why are we getting so many bots today? We had 2 Russian ones and now we're having a proper one. Is that because I wasn't around for like 2 weeks? You're not around for 2 weeks and immediately they're like, hey, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna be sending you a bunch of bots to your channel, because why not? Is that what's going on? Southern Europe outperforming Northern Europe? And Croatia being there? They put us in the south?
Southern Europe's economies have been looked down upon by Northern Europe's. Southern economies like Italy, Greece and Spain used to be considered spendthrift, less productive and, in at least certain circles, the primary cause of the Eurozone crisis. They were even given the degrading acronym PIGS, standing for Portugal, Italy, Greece and Spain. However, in the past couple of years, the tables have...
Bro, we are not in pigs. We're not in pigs, like they put us here, but we're not in pigs. We don't belong in pigs. And Slovenia, I guess Slovenia could be in the S too. They could share the S with Spain, but like Croatia, we're not in pigs. That's not fair.
For Portugal, Italy, Greece and Spain. However, in the past couple of years, the tables
I feel we belong in pigs. I feel we should be pigs too. Not too happy about that. Pigs expanding. Pigs. Pigs can indeed fly, not Croatia apparently, because we don't belong there. Bricks shaking in there.
The economic powerhouses of the north, and whether this can last.
How would you even create an acronym so we fit? I need an acronym so we fit in it.
To stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos.
Hey yo, Kim, how's life going? Hey yo. How is existence? I wasn't around for 2 weeks. I had an invasion of guests, and I'm still having an invasion of guests. So this is a very, very unique surprise stream we're doing. Tomorrow is RD elections in Croatia. Wish me luck.
Pretty significant debts. This probably had something to do with the introduction of...
I'm hoping we don't combust immediately, or I'm hoping we do combust. Depends really on the result. I'm doing horribly. I am experiencing a burnout from work. My vacation's coming in like 2 to 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and it's the only thing keeping me alive right now, unironically. I'm trying so hard. And it's not working. Also, I still have guests, and they're like chill. My guests are chill. It's just really exhausting to be going to work daily without a vacation for so long. Oh, it's killing me. It's been months since I had the last one. I'm not running for anything, I'm just really emotionally invested, because we have a lot of horrible populist parties in Croatia, and I'm really strongly, on a personal level, emotionally invested in these elections. So yeah, I've been trying really hard to get people to vote for proper options. I've been working my ass off, my dude. So hope it works. Yeah, populism is on the rise, and it's, oh my man, I'm so concerned about it.
over the past
Yeah,
15
tomorrow.
years.
Elections in Croatia
Similarly,
tomorrow.
Spanish productivity was roughly
Wednesday.
at the European average
And I
before the
work, by the way.
crash, but has since
By
fallen
the
to
Croatian
about 6%
constitution, it's
below.
supposed to be a no-work day, but it's
below the
actually a
European
working
average
day.
in Greece
We
and
work as
Portugal.
normal.
However,
So I
for the
work
past 3
the
years,
afternoon
things
shift.
have started to change.
Because
Southern
why
Europe's
not?
economy is suddenly showing tentative
Yeah,
signs
the
of
president
strength.
can pick when he wants to do
Successful
elections, and he
structural
picked a
reforms and
random-ass
high
Wednesday for
inflation
some
much of
reason.
Southern Europe balance their fiscal
And no one really knows. No one really knows why.
In 2022, Spain's
There are
deficit nearly
ideas
halved.
as to why he did it.
Raised in Greece,
My idea is that he's stupid, but I haven't really gotten a lot of support for it. Unfortunately, because it's the best idea I've heard. It's because he's stupid. It's because he's... Sorry, I need to rant about our president. There's this idea in Croatia that the reason why our politics are in a dire situation is the fact that we have a lot of voters outside of Croatia voting in our elections, right? So the idea is that we have a lot of Croats in Bosnia who vote for HDZ, so the reason why our elections go to shit is because there's a lot of voters in Bosnia who vote for HDZ. So what I believe has happened is this man, this imbecile of a man, this walking turd, thought that if he puts elections on a random Wednesday, voters in Bosnia, because they are not a part of Croatia, right? Voters in Bosnia will not get a free day from work. And because they will not get a free day from work, they will not be able to vote in such huge numbers as they usually vote in our elections. Therefore, they will not be able to have as big of a presence voting for his biggest political opponents. There are several problems with this idea. The first one being that the idea Bosnian voters are tipping the scales is not realistic from the start. It's a thing that's a really popular accusation in Croatian political circles, but it's not really a thing. They don't make up that huge part of the voting body at all. They do come, and there's always lots of publicity about them coming, and there's always, so many journalists being like, oh, look at this, look at these Bosnian voters, look at how many of them there is. But they're like a tiny percentage of the overall votes. They never were bigger than a tiny percentage of the overall votes. So I believe he fell for that bullshit, and he thought that they would not be able to vote. I think that's the only possible explanation as to why this has happened. Not to mention Bosnia. Bosnia actually gave a free day from work to all Croats, so they will be able to vote anyways. We don't have a free day in Croatia because capitalism, and ironically because firms were worried that they are going to lose so much money because of one non-work day that they have demanded changes in the Croatian constitution so workers still have to come to work on a voting day, which per the constitution is supposed to be a non-working day. We have managed to switch that up, but Bosnian people, yeah, they have a day of work. So ridiculous. The situation is ridiculous. 4-day work week. Whoa, nice. You're liking it? I'm so jealous. I am so jealous. I am so jealous I could cry. I envy you so much. I'm going to stream tomorrow. I work afternoon tomorrow. I think I work afternoon. Because I don't know when I work tomorrow. If I work before noon, I would actually love to be streaming afternoon to follow the results. So we'll see about that, but I don't know when I work. I don't know when I work tomorrow. I don't know when I work Friday. I don't know when I work Saturday. Like, I genuinely don't know when I'm working. So, I know I'm supposed to be afternoon shift on Thursday. That's like the one day in the rest of the week that I know when I'm going to be working. I can't wait for my vacation. I'm holding off so much. My man. Is HDZ basically fucked? The thing with HDZ is that they have a loyal voter base. They have a very loyal voter base. They're never going to be fucked fully because HDZ is always going to get around 30% of votes. HDZ always gets votes from people employed in state firms because they're all employed because they're HDZ members. It's a bit illegal of a thing, but it's real. It's real. It's what's going on. So for people in state firms, for people working in state firms, it is in their best interest not to see a change in the main political party in the country, because if there's a big change in the parliament, then the new biggest party is the one going to be giving jobs to people in state firms, right? So that means that people currently working are going to get fired and replaced by new people, and no one really likes that. So yeah, they're never going to be basically fucked. They might not have as big of a majority, but then we have the issue of HDZ right now being the normal party. In the current Croatian political climate, HDZ is an acceptable option to vote for despite their corruption. HDZ is the party that is leading us on a European path. HDZ is the party that is hawkish against Russia. HDZ is the party that wants to train Ukrainian soldiers. HDZ is the party that supports women's rights and supports women's right to get a safe abortion. So currently, it's very much like a Biden situation where like you see his flaws, but you're like, if I want democracy in this country and if I want a path to European Union in this country, let's be real. Do I have a choice? I don't really have a choice. So yeah, it's gonna be HDZ or Možemo to most people. I think it's gonna be HDZ. German family, they're still here. They're still here. They're here for a while. They're actually rather chill. It's just that I'm one of those people who's like really unable to relax. So it takes me a while to be like, all right, there's people in the house. That doesn't mean you have to babysit them all the time. It's all right. It's fine. So yeah, I'm trying to learn to live with that. Could be #1 Croatian election stream in English, or the one. You mean the only one? You mean the sole Croatian election stream in English? But yeah, I would actually love to. I'm gonna try today when I come to work, and when we are trying to decide on shifts, I'm gonna be like, what do you think about me working the morning shift? Then I have to wake up in the morning though. I like that. I don't want to wake up in the morning, but I want to work morning shift. Wish me luck. Vacation, I still don't know. I know I'm gonna be spending few days at least at my boyfriend's, and I know his internet is questionable. Because I'm planning to bring my camera and I'm planning to do some streams from there. But I'll have to see if his internet is good enough, and I don't know if it is. I have the proper internet. I'm the gamer person in this relationship, all right? I'm the person here who is able to carry everything, all right? So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, but I'm gonna be spending at least a week there. He has those like pools around, and he has lakes. And he lives in a rather chill part of the country, so I think I'm just gonna be going there to sleep. That's the plan right now, just sleeping. Ever since freelancing, I rarely wake up before 9:30. Hey, how do you make money? Because when I was freelancing, man, it took a shitload of work to reach minimum wage. Took shitload of work. How do you make it work for you? Holy shit, I'm so jealous. I have a cousin who's he is self-employed. He has an online shop, and he's selling. Know what he's selling? He's selling basically boomer jokes on mugs and shirts in German. It's in German, and he is making a crap load of money with that. But I know so many people who tried to do the same thing and just never made money. He's making a crap load of money. He was working as a programmer in Germany. And he stopped working as a programmer to work on this online shop that he and his wife are working at. They're making crap load. How do people make money of that? Holy shit, I'm so envious. I'm so envious. I would love to do that. I haven't been sleeping properly lately even. I've been doing this thing where I either sleep for 2 hours or I go to sleep really early because I feel exhausted, and then I sleep for 10. And in both cases I have severe headaches, so I'm trying to survive. Web design and writing. Slog it out through all the shit until you get a handful of good clients. Then you usually get word of mouth work from them. Oh, so that's the plan. Man, I need to do that. I need to start doing that. Web design. I need to learn web design. I've applied for a class in web design like half a year ago. And they said that basically they had a program filled, and when they finish educating people from this first part of the program, that's when I enter, because like another group is entering the program. They still haven't contacted me. That's rather annoying. I would love to know that after this year I don't have to work retail anymore. Sleep is nice. I like sleeping. I'm very into sleeping. I can still set my schedule and I work better at night anyways. Yeah, same here. That's why I kind of wanted to do something like that. When I was freelancing, I was always working better at night. I was working so much better at night. Like I would work until 3 in the morning and I was so happy. And it was so productive. At the same time, like it was the best. Kind of sucks that you have to do the whole afternoon working right now, something like that. It's really, really shitty. But you know what I like though? I like the fact that working a regular job, I don't have to work as hard as I had to work when I was freelancing to get cash. Right? Like recently I've been on a burnout, so I'm not working as much. I still get my paycheck though. I still get my paycheck. I work less. I get my paycheck. If it's a bad day and I get really annoyed by people and I spent most of my work hours like hiding away or shit, I still get my paycheck. In the same way I would get my paycheck if I worked really, really hard. And that's kind of what I like about having an established job position, is that you can really not work. You can just kind of flow through it. You can exist and you still get cash. I like that. 10 years raw night. Now I can't sleep at night. Oh shit. Do you have to sleep like after the night shift? Oh, I remember researching this. I used to be researching this. How much changes on your circadian rhythm can be disruptive for your entire body, and how it makes you more likely to get certain types of cancer. And the idea was basically that working 10 years in a row, only night shifts, is actually alright, because your body gets used to that. And as long as you have a proper time when you are sleeping, like if you sleep after the shift, for example, that's alright. The problem is when you do those, I don't know if you have those, we call it 3-shift jobs. Like you can work morning shift, you can work afternoon shift, and you can work night shift. Those jobs are the worst because you can't have a proper sleep schedule at all. Right? Like you sleep at night when you have morning and afternoon shift, you sleep at night, but then you have the night shift and you can't sleep during the night shift, so you have to switch your sleeping time. And that many switches, it's horrible. There was always an accounting manager on my ass. Oh. Did you work like fancy jobs or did you work retail? To be fair, when I worked as a waitress, now that I think about it, when I worked as a waitress, it was not chill. I could not exist through my waitressing job. Because there was always people around and you needed to, properly serve them. But now that I work in a supermarket situation, I'm actually able to just not work. I'm able to not work. I like that. Night shift for years. I was worried it was going to kill him. Oh, she. I mean, if it's only night shift and if he is able to sleep regularly outside of it, it should be good, statistically. But it always depends on the person and the situation. Like if he has a family and if he is not always able to sleep regularly after work, like you know how it is with families. You gotta drive to school, you gotta drive to doctor's appointments, you gotta drive to go shopping or something, and then you can't always be like, oh yeah, after work I'm gonna sleep the entire before noon time. You can't really do that always. So something like that would be really, really dangerous, yeah. Annoying terrorists? I had to deal... I have a hatred of a specific type of a terrorist. And it's a terrorist that thinks they are cultured because they travel a lot. I have a thing where I despise them. It's the type of a terrorist that's going to be like, oh, I went to a lot of different countries, so I experienced a lot of different cultures, and now I'm like more cultured than your everyday person. I have a thing where I despise them fully. And those are the most annoying terrorists, personally, that I ever had to deal with. It wasn't even... There were Croats in the group. Like when I think of these terrorists, the first couple that comes to mind is a Croatian couple that was traveling a lot. But it's the specific energy that these terrorists have, the specific way that they think they're better than everyone else. Like they came into the cafe at one point and they wanted to order a cappuccino. And I had to listen to this entire lesson about how they tried different cappuccinos in different cafes in different countries. But the only real cappuccino that they tried in Italy was so different from these all fake cappuccinos. So I gotta make them the proper cappuccino because I made them the wrong one. Because Croatian cappuccino is not the same as Italian cappuccino. And it was really annoying. It was really coming from that place of like they think they are better than you are. I had also discussions with people on wine in a similar situation. Like they'll order a specific wine and then you give it to them. And then they're like, oh yeah, well, when I was in France, they would never serve me wine like that. And then they like explain to you why they are so much better than you because you are a lousy primitive. And they are people who have experienced the French culture. Because they stayed in a hotel and ate a croissant and got a wine glass. That's that. So I'm quite hateful of that. Because I've met some proper travelers, some proper cultured people. And they never really had that same type of arrogance. They never really had that same type of a thing. I think it's basically a show of like new tourists mostly. New tourists and just people who are very arrogant as a personality. You started at 4 in the morning? Holy shit. I know a woman who works in a bakery. She's making burek. She starts at 2. It's such a stupid thing. She starts at 2? Like it's not night shift? It's not morning shift? Who the fuck starts working at 2? I don't know. They try to get me into it too. Like, aren't we special? We're coming here because Albania is kind of an unknown shithole. Yeah, like that too, like that too. Oh, this is so exotic. Oh, wow, you people are so weird. And then you have these little customs. Just leave me alone. Fuck rich Europeans? Yeah, actually, unironically, fuck rich people. I think it's rich people who do that. Now that you pointed it out, I think that's what they all have in common. It's being really, really rich. Really rich people are very rarely people who understand different cultures. And also how to say this? I think they're unable to understand because they're unable to understand how much their experience of being a very rich person in a country differs from like the actual culture of the country. They all exist in a very, do I want to say similar way? I want to say similar way. It's like when you look at the, when I was, for example, at the seaside, we went to this really, really fancy restaurant. But what they have in these fancy restaurants at this Croatian seaside is not actually what you would call the food of Croatian culture. When you go to proper restaurants, to proper smaller restaurants, right, or even to proper Croatian held restaurants that are not seen as fancy, right? The food you get served there is very different to the food you get served in fancy restaurants. And it's because the fancy restaurants, they care more about presenting you with something, I want to say vaguely international, but also they want to have the options relatively expanded because rich people are a bit heisle. So what they do is like they will offer you foods that are kind of changed from what they are at their purest. They take out all the parts that you might not like, and in the process it like washes it out. But I think as a rich person, you're not really aware that it washes it out because you've never really tried the proper version of this food. You've never tried the normal one, right? So you don't really know how different the culture you're experiencing is from the actual culture of the country. I just kind of hate rich fucks. Travel to Eastern Europe. I never thought of a special culture. Based. It's genuinely a very different experience. It reminds me of Serbia at one point. They had an American move into Serbia and he was being mocked relentlessly. And it's because he basically came with a plane over to Serbia, went into a fancy restaurant, he liked the people there, he liked the food there, of course he did, he was in rich places, right? So he wants to move to Serbia because he hears that the price of houses is very cheap in Serbia, so he moves to Serbia. And he had a blog. And I remember one of the first things he wrote on this blog was that he was pissed off because he had to go sort out some papers and he had to wait in line for almost 2 hours to sort the paperwork to be allowed to be in Serbia, right? And Serbs were like, 2 hours? Bro, that's nothing. Bro, that's nothing. And it's the same here. Like if you are going to the town to sort your paperwork, what you usually do is you treat it as a shift. All right? You treat it as a morning shift. Morning shift mine starts at 7:30, but let's say 8. Starts at 8, you're done around noon, 4 hours. You will not get your paperwork sorted in less than 4 hours. Treat it as a full morning shift. There's no chance you're gonna get it sooner. And this man was so shocked, and the reason he was so shocked was because he knew the rich part of Serbian culture. He didn't know the proper one. So then he had to see the proper one. And then he was like, oh shit, this kind of sucks. Like, yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. Maybe you would have known that if you weren't only hanging out with rich folks. Dubrovnik. Oh, good luck with that. Probably living off burek. Oh, nice. Burek is great. Burek is incredible. So good luck with that. They have very many different tastes, many different fillings. I'm actually quite hyped. I've heard that there's one with like cabbage. Is that the word I want to say? I guess it is. I think it's cabbage in English. I want to try that one. I've never tried that one, but burek is amazing. We had Macedonian tourists recently here in the village. They asked for burek. They wanted burek. That was the funniest thing ever. He was like, "Do you have burek around?" I was like, "You're Macedonian." He's like, "Yeah, how did you know?" I'm like, "Nothing. It's nothing." The burek. That is adorable. I asked the hotel staff in Prague what they normally ate, and I went to a cafeteria when nobody spoke English there, and I didn't recognize most of the food. Oh, that's based. Oh, that sounds based. That sounds like a great way to experience culture, actually, yeah. Incredible. Like, instead of going to usual tourist spots, which are watered down culture, you go to a proper one. Based. And probably a lot of cheaper. Probably it was a lot cheaper too than the tourist spots, because I know in the Croatian seaside, the places where the locals go are really, really cheap compared to the places that they usually push the tourists into. But, you know, they are a bit harder to find. Tomato and onion? Burek? Tomato and onion? Hey yo, Southern Europe. Oh, we are at like the half of the video. We are at half of the video. We've been at the half of the video for the last 20 minutes approximately, and I have to go soon. I have to go to my work. Tomato and onion burek, never tried. Never tried, but now, man, now I want to. I've never heard of that one even. We have meat. So that's like beef one. We have that one. We have cheese one, which is the proper. We have potato one. That one's really good. That one's really, really, really good. Potato one is really, really tasty. But like, man, tomato and onion. It's like pizza and burek. Man, I'm so jealous. I am so jealous. Can't even imagine the taste of it. I'm so jealous. I tried the chocolate one once. We had a man in the city who was making chocolate ones. That was really good too. That was really, really good. I don't usually eat sweet though, so kind of avoid it mostly. But for a sweet thing, really good to be honest. Which is less than it was initially predicted. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. We're going to see how back in action we're going to be for the next month. I want to say month, because I'm having guests for a while. I'm having guests for a while more, and then I'm having my vacation. And when I'll be on my vacation, it's a question of how much. Of how much I'll be able to stream, because I don't know where I'm going to be for the vacation. There's a lot of plans that we're making at the last moment. So yeah, we're gonna see. Wish me luck. Wish me the best of luck, my dudes. Credit rating agencies are, as a result, super happy with the South too. For instance, towards the end of last year, Greece's rating was raised to investment grade for the first time. Now Estonia's gonna be existing in a year. Look, Ukraine's now gonna rise the global oil prices, and then USA is gonna be like, damn, this is very serious. Maybe we should just blow Russia out of existence. Profit. Which has allowed them to better manage their heavy debt burden and finance structural reforms, which have become critical to developing their economies. Italy has estimated that the EU funds alone will boost their GDP by 3%. Oh shit, yeah. It is. They have the sleeping competition. Did you know that? They have a sleeping competition. Less exposed to the withdrawal of Russian gas, or at least less exposed than Germany, which has suffered a sharp slowdown. US will pass aid soon, yeah. And while Italy was to Israel, you mean? Dependent on Russian gas for Ukraine, Meloni has done a great job of diversifying and has signed off big energy deals with Algeria and Qatar, meaning that Italy's Russian gas imports dropped from 40% of all imports in 2021 to 2.4% at the end of last year. Finally, Europe has also been boosted by a rebound in tourism following the lifting of pandemic restrictions.
Portugal saw a record revenue of
Basically,
25 billion
he's
euros
saying
from tourism in
Italy is
2023,
doing
and
better
Greece
because
enjoyed a
Italy
15.7%
moved away
increase in tourism
from
revenue
Russians
last year. Now, it's
properly.
important not to overstate all this. Southern European countries have endured a decade of stagnant growth and are still
Ukraine is part of the
significantly
package.
poorer than Germany and Scandinavia.
Wait, in
Nonetheless, their recent success is evidence that, with Southern Europe's new
USA,
fiscal prudence, greater fiscal
passing
union
year
in the
8,
EU
they
might be
separated
able
the
to
bills.
bridge Europe's north-south divide.
No, they separated the
Now,
bills.
watching
It's a
our videos,
specific
it's
bill for
understandable
Israel
if at
aid and a
times
specific
you feel
one
like
for
the world
Ukraine.
isn't
They separated
terribly
them.
safe. And unfortunately, this can be the case online too. You might try your best to keep everything secure. Maybe you
Johnson
rotate
figured
your
out how
favorite
to
passwords online.
different
But that's
packages.
not
Yeah,
always enough to keep you safe. In fact, the
Johnson
most
figured
common
out
form
how
of
to
account hacking these days is called credential stuffing. Essentially, you use one of your normal passwords on a
delete
website that's
further.
poorly maintained,
You think
and
all
then
will
if it
get
gets
passed? Or
compromised,
you are
you
more
could
positive
find
than I
that
am?
information landing
I
on the
think
dark
Johnson
web.
would
Hackers then just
rather
attempt the same email and password combinations on your social network
self-combust
accounts, streaming services, banks. You get the
than
point.
pass the
Luckily
aid
for
to
you,
Ukraine.
NordVPN has a
I
whole
think he
bunch
would
of
rather
tools that can keep
self-combust.
you
I
safe
think he's a
online.
traitor on like a global level. A very dangerous man. I have my trust in him making a good decision is basically non-existent. He'll bring a vote on the Israel bill first, then say we will vote on Ukraine bill tomorrow, then something delays it. Yeah, I'm definitely very oof. I don't trust that man to any extent. To any extent, my man. I don't trust that man at all. Lithuania? Beer? Nice. Oh, nice. If you say 8 passes, I will subscribe. Thank you. I guess I'm not getting that subscription money, but I'm happy you're offering. At least not this year. Maybe after November. Maybe not even that. I don't know what Johnson is motivated by at all to keep on doing his little betrayal thing. App that buzzes every time his son is stroking it to porn. Oh shit, that sounds ridiculous. Another 2-week vacation. Gotta have 6 weeks vacation in 4 months. Oh shit, yeah, vacation. Oh yeah, they just came from the last one. True. Trying not to get ousted. Yeah, you can't oust him if he's on a vacation. Proper. Nah, I think Ukraine does have a strong chance, and I do think Europe is waking up. But of course, it's like it's very concerning what's going on. My boss never shows up at work, but has vacation each month. Yeah, basically. Takes 2 people to oust him now. MTG is one of them. Great. The horse face. Great. Lovely. Incredible. Also, I have to go. I have to leave. I have to be at my work soon. So listen, if I work morning shift tomorrow, we will be doing the stream afternoon. If I work the afternoon shift, we will have to see. So wish me luck with that. And yeah, we'll be seeing you next time I'm around, which I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm hoping to be very, very soon. Next month is going to be basically chaos streaming month. Until we return to the proper schedule, which is going to be the entirety of the summer, basically. So the entirety of the summer, GG. Because I should be working properly. And on a set time. I'm kind of hyped to return to that. But yeah, stay strong, stay healthy, don't work with Russians, you know how it is. If you are a Croat, I know we have like 1 Croat in chat, maybe 2 if we're lucky. Make sure you're voting responsibly